My name is Haley Stuckey, and this is my Outbreak case study. So the pathogen that I chose is HIV. What type of pathogen is it? It is a viral pathogen. It is transmitted through body fluids such as blood, semen, and breast milk. And the disease that the pathogen causes is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, or AIDS. So next, I wanted to go over some of the symptoms. These symptoms include fever or chills, swollen lymph nodes, sore throat, skin rashes, joint and muscle aches, headaches, nausea or vomiting, weight loss, fatigue, sores or ulcers in the mouth, and confusion. So I know this is a really long list, so I thought that this lovely graphic over to the left would be a great example. It is unfortunately decided to be cut off, which is unfortunate. But I liked that it gave examples and visuals along with the symptoms. I thought that that was a really nice visual and easy way to digest some of the problems that HIV causes. I apologize for these very graphic pictures. I'm a very visual learner, and I enjoy getting to see the actual physical part of what the disease does to the body. These are just two of the different things. These are the body rashes and the mouth sores. Again, I'm just a visual learner. I thought that this would be a really great thing to include because I love to physically see how it affects the body and how different pathogens affect different parts. So, what was the source of the outbreak of HIV? It is believed to have zoonotic origins. So, it's thought to have come from chimps, which is a cross-species transmission. I thought that this graph was really interesting in showing the different types of HIV and the different animals, primates that they could have come from. So I liked the breakdown of where it could potentially have come from, what it has caused, and how it looks in the human body. I thought that was really interesting. How was this outbreak discovered? It was discovered on June 5th, 1981, in an article published called Pneumocystis, my apologies, pneumonia, Los Angeles, and it was reported in the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report. So it was discovered it manifested as a rare lung infection in previously healthy men. It was said that they were gay men specifically, but the important is that they were previously healthy, and that there were other reports that occurred around the same time. Other people were seeing similar things happen in previously healthy men. So the picture that I provided on this page is actually what HIV looks like. I thought that it was really interesting and honestly reminds me quite a bit of what the COVID, what it looks like for COVID. And so I thought it was really interesting to add that in. Next up, we will be looking at outbreak magnitude and severity. So I decided to make a graph out of all of the data that I pulled from the What Are HIV and AIDS resource that I used and utilized a lot for the research of this presentation, because I wanted to physically see how much it continued to go up from 1981 to 1991. And as you can see, it continued to continue to grow and grow and grow all the way up to 1991, as well as that white line there that shows the deaths and represents the deaths and how closely that followed the growth in cases in this period of time. You could just see that the mortality rate and the influx in cases, they just went hand in hand. It was honestly astounding to see just how many people who had HIV from 1981 to 1991 died from it as well. It was honestly astounding to me. Continuing on with outbreak magnitude, I just wanted to share a couple of what I felt like were important info to share and to have. So the first year, which is 1981 that we're focusing on, it had 337 cases reported. 1991, there were 206,563 cases reported. 1985 had more cases than all previous years combined, and peak infection was between 1984 and 1985. These cases went up rapidly. Outbreak severity, we're doing a similar thing. Same thing of just sharing important statistics that I felt were very much important to share. So 130 people died in 1981. The deaths more than doubled in 1985, which makes sense as it had the most cases out of any of the previous years at this point. In that, in 1991, there were 156,143 deaths. I also included this graphic over on the side just to show the different stages of HIV, as I feel like that was important to show with the severity of the outbreak information, because there are different stages to HIV. So let's talk about the impact of antiretroviral therapy. I'm sure I butchered that name, I apologize. So this therapy was introduced in 1991. So it was really becoming popular and more used in 1991 to treat HIV and AIDS. So this is a combination of HIV medications. They are taken daily, monthly, or every other month. These medications and this therapy does not cure HIV. It does reduce risks as well as lessening transmission risks, and it also significantly decreased the rate of hospital admissions and opportunistic infections. So it really made an impact on the deaths of people who have HIV and AIDS. Next up is social context. I included this poster of Rent, which is a musical. It is actually the first touch that I had of anything that included mentioning AIDS. If you haven't seen this musical, it is a fantastic musical. I just wanted to include it in the social context because this was my first social context of anything that had to do with HIV and AIDS. So looking at some of the protective measures that I found, the National AIDS Information Line started in 1983 to answer any questions about people who had questions about AIDS. The National AIDS Clearinghouse started in 1987. They also started passing out a brochure named Understanding AIDS in 1988. And community-level interventions were used to help increase condom use. There were also many other behavioral intervention strategies that were used in order to help bring more attention to this issue and how to be safe about it. Most of the population received information about HIV through media, which is television, newspapers, radio, not very different than how we receive information about I think of COVID, we received a whole lot of information about COVID through television, social media, all of that as well. So when was the HIV epidemic recognized? So early 80s media addressed AIDS as gay pneumonia. It was addressed by President Reagan in 1985 for the very first time. The first speech given by President Ronald Reagan was not until 1987, and it was to the College of Physicians in Philadelphia. And for the most part, there wasn't a whole lot of media coverage that I could find. There could be some out there, I just could not find any. But it started increasing after Magic Johnson announced that he was HIV positive. Here is yet another graph that I wanted to include. This one does go past the timeline that I have been talking about, which is 1981 to 1991. But I wanted to show this significant drop that happens at 1991 when the therapy came into place. I also wanted to show how high the infection rate was between 1984 and 1984 in 1985, excuse me. So, and I just wanted to show on a larger scale just how significantly it raised and how significantly it dropped through those years that we're looking at compared to every other year. So, just a few conclusion notes to wrap up this presentation. In the United States, the HIV/AIDS epidemic started in 1981 in New York City and Los Angeles. Case numbers shot up at absolutely rapid levels every year from 1981 to 1991. Antiretroviral therapy helps lessen symptoms but does not cure HIV. And the one that just blows my mind still is that it was 4 years after the initial cases that it was addressed by President Reagan. And here are my references. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation. I very much enjoyed making it, and I learned a whole lot. Thank you again.